Now, if you thought that at this point this is the only incident, my research showed there have been at least 6 incidents of a similar nature in the past 2 years. Let me now take you through how these video games are becoming killer games. Let's begin, of course, recently is June 22. That's the case we are talking about. A 16-year-old boy kills his mother for not playing, at least one of the reasons, to not let him play the PUBG. But then, just go a few months in the background. April 2022 in Raigad, Chhattisgarh, 19-year-old boy hangs himself after the family consistently interrupts him playing the game and asks him to indulge in other activities. Just before that, in October 2021 in Jalgaon, Maharashtra, 17-year-old girl student died by suicide because she could not find an exit from the game. She was stuck inside. She did not know what to do, got her into a psychological commotion, and she died by suicide. In Bulandshahr, in July 2020, 2 years ago, a depressed young boy, a student, 16-year-old, depressed over losses, unable to succeed in the game, shoots himself. This is also about the access of weapons, real weapons, that these teenagers have. In January 2020 in Mathura, the boy hangs himself after his mother took away his mobile phone and drops it, which likely means that the phone was broken, he was unable to play the game. So he decided to then hang himself. Again, another suicide due to these interruptions over a video game. In Thane, in June 2019, a 15-year-old boy kills his brother because the brother was constantly interrupting him over the game, asking him wanting to study. In April 2019 in Hyderabad, a 15-year-old boy, another death by suicide after he was asked to focus on his studies by his parents. Now, we've all gone through, remember, this specific aspect of life. In our teenage years, we've also played video games. It was mainly for time pass. But now, are these video games turning killer, and why? Is it just the video game or something else is amiss? This incident, remember, reflects how there is a change that we're all witnessing among the teenagers in the modern society. If a 16-year-old can shoot the mother angry over these constant interjections, what does it mean? And importantly, what can you possibly do to ensure that the child does not get into that commotion? What are the experts saying? What is the current situation in this? My colleague Chaitri Narula gets you the details of the symptoms and possible solutions. Take a look, very important.
A 16-year-old wanted to play PUBG. The mother tried to stop the child. The child shot the mother dead with the father's licensed pistol. If you are left shell-shocked and wondering what happened here and even unable to comprehend how, you are not alone. This incident is shocking and exposes the real issue of gaming addiction.
When they're spending a lot of their time just playing games, and what happens is the brain starts kind of looking at the gaming scenarios more like a real scenario, and that's how the the reaction time comes across as, and that's how they start reacting. So this intense urge that they get to play the game is because of the release of dopamine. Now, dopamine typically is a neurochemical that gets released when when we do something that really gives us pleasure. For example, eating a piece of chocolate would release a small amount of dopamine that gives us pleasure. But in some people, even gaming can hyper-arouse the brain, causing release of high amounts of dopamine, leading to addiction.
Gaming is fun, but at what point does it become an addiction that can lead to violence and even murder of one's own mother if the game is taken away from the child or the teenager?
The person wants to spend all the time they can in front of the screen playing games, and when they are told not to play, there's a tendency to have this violent behavior or more of a withdrawal kind of a behavior where they become very restless and at times angry, and even start showing signs of irritability, anxiety, etc.
Not everyone who plays video games has gaming addiction. Some may just be very enthusiastic about it. But if you notice these telltale signs in your teens, consult a mental health care practitioner immediately. And there are ways to help you ward it off.
The other aspect is balance it. Balance it in a way that your social life with friends and family, your academic life or your work life, your sleep-awake pattern, and no aspect of your life gets affected. If you take care of this, then you will not get addicted to it.
Experts believe there are ways to help your ward, and parents need to be extra careful about the content of the game always. Take your child or your teenager to a mental health care practitioner and a qualified one while at it immediately. There are several steps that you can take at home as well, like being supportive, monitoring the content, limiting their screen time, and many other things that you can do. But do not take this sitting down is what experts have cautioned. In New Delhi, Chaiti Narula for India Today.